Hey guys, welcome back for another video. This is going to be quick and dirty. How to install ezBEQ on your Raspberry Pi and get it working in your system. This isn't going to be a walkthrough about what ezBEQ is or the project or anything. I'll put a link down below to the thread on AVS forum that tells you all about that. This is assuming you're at this point. You've got your hardware, now you're ready for the software to actually start using it. It's a little confusing, but I'm going to boil it down for you. Super simple. The only thing you need besides your mini DSP, I'm assuming you've got that physically connected, powered on, connected via USB to your Raspberry Pi, and I'll put a link down below to a couple really good Raspberry Pi kits that come with everything you need. Just sit there, leave it powered off, and let's go to the computer. Whatever card your kit comes in is definitely going to be good enough. If you're using your own, just make sure it's an upper tier card. You want something that's rated for constant use and good speed for reads and writes. Do not try to use a bottom of the barrel, cheap budget tier card. They don't work well. Stick your drive in your reader. You may get a notice that wants you to format it. Don't bother, just close that window. Head on over to the Raspberry Pi OS Imager page. I'll put a link in the description for this. I'm going to be on Windows. There's also a link for Mac or Linux. Go ahead and download it. When you run it, this is a program that's actually going to put everything on the card and set up the operating system for when you're ready to actually stick it in the Pi and turn it on. Now, because this is not a commercial program, it's not even one program, it's a collaboration of several different pieces of software, one of which is not yet compatible with the brand new version of Raspberry Pi OS. So we do need to choose the last one when we're setting this up. But no worries, doesn't change a thing about how it works. We're going to click on Choose OS, click Raspberry Pi OS Other, and then we are going to look for, scroll down a bit, Bullseye. And what we want is the light version. We don't need a graphical user interface at all. We're not actually hooking up a keyboard or mouse or monitor or anything to the Pi. We're going to do everything right here from our computer. Technically, you could use a phone or tablet or anything, but using your desktop computer is by far the easiest. So we're just going to click on Light. We're going to choose the card that we have in storage. Down here, click this little settings icon. If you just click right, not everything's going to be set up correctly. So go ahead and click the little settings icon. You want to check this box that says Enable SSH. That's going to allow us to actually use our desktop computer here, or whatever on your network, to control the Raspberry Pi. Make sure it says Use Password Authentication, and then click the box that says Set Username and Password. Choose whatever username and password that you want for logging into your Pi. Doesn't really matter, but you have to pick one. If you're using Wi-Fi instead of a wired Ethernet connection to the Pi, either one works just fine. You can click Configure Wireless LAN and put in your credentials here. Put in the SSID of whatever your network is and the password. Make sure they are 100% correct. If you're connecting via Ethernet like me, just keep that unchecked, and that's it. Click Set Locale Settings and choose your correct time zone. And then click Save, then click Write. Click Yes. You're just making sure that you're overwriting the correct card. And now it's going to actually download the program. This could take 10 minutes, could take an hour, depends on how fast your internet connection is. And it'll write everything to the card and verify it. It'll show up a warning in maybe another 15 minutes that says the card's done and you can eject it. And that's all we have to do with the computer right now. And there we go. Now we can pop the card out and go back to the Pi. So now we're going to put the card in the Pi, turn it on, and then go make a sandwich. And we're going to come back in about 15 minutes. This will have set everything up, and we should see this on the network. I put the card in the slot in the side of the Pi. My particular kit has a power button. I'm going to turn it on. If yours doesn't, just plug in the power cord. Now that you've given it some time, it should be live on the network and booted up just sitting there. The first thing you need to do is give it a static IP, or what's known as an IP reservation. You need to go into your router settings. If you got something modern or a mesh, you're going to have an app. You may have a web interface if you've got something that comes with your ISP, for example. If you got something really old, you may have to plug an Ethernet line into the router itself and get into the settings that way. Google IP reservation and the name of your router, and you'll find easy instructions on how to get that. It doesn't matter what IP you give it, just make sure that you set an IP reservation for the Raspberry Pi on your network, and remember the number. Now at this point, this is how we're going to be interfacing and setting everything up. We only have to do it once. Once we do all this and it just sits there on your network running, you never have to touch it again. Maybe, once every couple months, reboot it. That's really about it. But we're going to do everything right here through the little command line. On Windows, hit your start key, type CMD, hit return, and you'll get your command prompt. Now we're going to issue a command called SSH. That's the little option we enabled when we set up the Pi, and that's going to let us talk to the machine. We're going to be following these instructions here. I'll put a link right down to them. It's simply the install instructions for the Raspberry Pi. Don't worry, I'm going to distill this. There's a lot of extra info in here. It's all good, but it's way easier than you might think just looking at this. This right here, the first piece of software we're going to install, this actually talks to the mini DSP box from the Raspberry Pi. This is what currently has an issue with the latest version of the Raspberry Pi OS and why we had to use the older version. This hasn't been updated in over a year. I don't know if it ever will again, so maybe this will be stuck on Bullseye going forward, but like I said, it doesn't matter. It works just fine, no performance difference. Just want to let you know that's the piece of software that right now is the current holdback. Okay, so if you're doing this fresh, you're not going to run into any kind of issues. If you're re-imaging your box, if you've already done this once, you're going to see a warning about a file, and I'll show you how to correct that real quick. So the first thing we're going to do is type SSH, the name of whatever user that you set up on your Pi at, and then the number that your Pi is now assigned to, whatever it may be. That's mine. Hit enter. Now I've done this before, so I'm getting this warning. You'll get a slightly different one if you've never done it. It'll just be asking you, hey, are you really sure that you want to trust us? We're going to get that in a second, because right now this is basically saying, hey, you'd connected to this before and it looks different. Are you sure this is legit? And I know it is. So I'm going to follow where it tells me to go right here. C users, Brian, this directory, SSH, and it's basically telling us that this file here, that's got your old info in it. So all we're going to do is delete the file and it'll write a new one for us. So we're going to do it again, and a handy dandy command here. You don't have to type things twice. You can copy and paste. I'm going to select what I typed up here, Control C to copy, right click to paste, hit enter. And now we get the thing that says, hey, you're really sure you want to connect? Yes, I'm absolutely sure. You have to type out YES, and now we're connected. Well, we're almost in, but we're connected. Now we put in whatever password you set for yourself. What did I set? I think this is right. We'll find out in a second. Hey, okay, now we are actually sitting on the box. This is a direct connection to the Raspberry Pi, wherever it may be in your home. So this is a command prompt on the Raspberry Pi. We're no longer controlling this Windows computer. We are controlling the little Raspberry Pi. Okay, now we can start with the actual install, starting with step one, open a shell. That's what this is called, a shell. Okay, and SSH to the Raspberry Pi, done. Step two, download the latest stable version of this particular program right here. So it's telling us all the instructions of how to get it. It's a little complex, no problem. I'm going to walk you through it. Where it says here, this is a link. I'm going to right click on it, open in a new tab. This is a site where you download the actual software. Now we're going to do it from the Raspberry Pi, but we have to go here just to see exactly how things are named, because we're going to copy and paste things. And trust me, if you're like me, you're just a normal everyday computer user, this is totally confusing. I get it. That's because this is how Linux works. I absolutely hate it, but it is what it is. There's no easy button just to click to install, right? No, I have to make it really complicated. Okay, so right here, This box here, when you see a shaded box on this page, this is basically showing you things that you can copy and paste. These are going to be commands that you're going to copy and then paste into your box. But when you see these kinds of brackets here, where it says version and file name, that's saying you got to replace this with something specific for your particular install. Now, the version and file name is where we're going to look on this other page here. This is the version. It's up at the top, so it's the current, and it says latest. So v0.1.9, that's what's going to go where it says version. And then file name, it's this one down here, minidsp underscore 0.1.9 underscore armhf.deb. That's the name of the program. So first, we have to copy just the first part of this, starting with the wget and ending at that slash. I'm going to copy that, come back over here, highlight the window, right click to paste, don't hit enter. So now it's just sitting here, and we're going to add on to this, and we're going to finish this big line. So version, it wants this here. I'm going to copy that. It's just text. Come back into here, right click to paste. Okay, and now we need a slash, and now we need the file name, and that's down here. Again, just text, don't click on it. Go to the left a little bit and select it. There you go. Right click, copy. Select this window again, and right click to paste. Now we can hit enter. And now it actually downloaded the program onto the Raspberry Pi, just like you would download something on Windows, except there's no easy button. Okay, now it wants us to actually install it. And of course, there's no button to click yes to install. We have to run another command to install it. And again, it wants the file name as part of that command. So we're going to copy this first part up to the slash, copy, back over to this window, right click to paste. And believe me, this is the only annoying part of this install, is this back and forth here and finding stuff. Everything else is a lot easier. So now we need the file name again. Now I happen to see it right here. Again, it's just text. You can get it from anywhere you want. We're gonna Control-C to copy, and right-click again to paste, and hit enter. And it goes and installs it. Now it's going to take maybe 30 seconds. It's not a big program, and it should just come back with a command prompt, and there, it's done. Okay, now it's installed. Now, we can go to the next step, confirm functionality. Type minidsp and hit enter, or you can copy and paste, doesn't matter. Copy minidsp, paste it, hit enter, and that's what we're looking for. This kind of output, something very similar to this. 3 lines of what's probably gobbledygook to you, but that's basically telling you that the Raspberry Pi is talking to the minidsp box. This is the minidsp box giving some numbers back. So, hey, we got a connection. That just sits there. You never have to do anything with it again. Yay! Okay, next step. Next, we have 2 lines to copy and paste. We don't have to do anything to them. Top one here, make sure you go all the way to the right because it scrolls past what you may see there initially. Get that whole top line, copy, back over to here, paste. Whoops. I copied the wrong thing. Back over to here. Copy. Back over to here. Now I goofed. There we go. Back to a clean line. And paste. Hit enter. Go back here. Grab this scroll bar. Go back to the left. Get this whole second line. Copy. Back over to here. Right click to paste, enter. Okay, so that just cleared out anything and restarted it just to make sure it's good to go sitting in the background. Okay, now we can go and install the next piece of software, which is ezBEQ itself. So here's a line that we, again, need to just copy. Over here, paste, hit enter. Yes, we want to continue. It's basically saying, hey, you want to install this, and it's going to use a little bit of your drive. I should hope so. That's going to go through. Might take a little while depending on the speed of your internet connection. Mine's really fast, so it's just going to take probably 45, 60 seconds. And we got a few more lines of this stuff to do. Okay, that's done. Now, and by the way, the update procedures for this is exactly the same. It's just copying and pasting a few lines in sequence, and those are right in the link I'll put in the description to the ezBEQ forum post. It's right on post 1. You just literally copy and paste these 5 or 6 lines. Some of them are the same lines as right here that we're going to do to install it, and it'll update to the latest version. So let's do all of these in sequence. That one, do the next one, and the next one. See, told you it wasn't hard. Wait for this one to finish. Just make sure you always have a command prompt before you paste anything. Some of these commands are instant, some aren't. And the next one. Okay. Now this one here can be a little tricky. I've had people miss this. There's a period and a space before the bin. You have to grab the period. See it now? It's easier to see when it's highlighted. Don't do this. Don't grab it right there because that won't work. So you have to grab the period with the space. All right, that's gotten a lot of people confused when I was trying to help them with the install. Now before you do this last line here, there's one more we have to do that's not in these instructions. And I don't know if this is going to be a permanent thing, but it started a little while ago. And it's a separate piece of software that's required that doesn't get automatically installed at the moment, at least. So this here, make sure you go to the description. I'll put the missing command that you need to install in between these two so you can copy and paste it. But it's installing some software called Flask. Copy it, paste it. It's this command right here. Hit enter. Wait for it to finish. Should just take a minute. And after this is done, we can do this last line right here, which is the actual ezBEQ software. This one will take a little bit longer. And after this is done, that's the core of it. We just got a couple little setup things to do, and we can start using it. Shouldn't see any errors in this. Should just cruise on through. I don't know if this software works on the new version of Raspberry Pi OS yet because I can't get to it. Since the minidsp software won't install, there's no point in even trying to get this to work because it will not work without both of them working. Almost to the end here. If you don't have that Flask installed, right here is where you get an error. Almost done. This is also where having a great card comes in handy because all this is a lot faster on a good card than a piece of junk. And now we're back. All right, next step. This is basically manually telling you to make sure it works. Trust me, it works. We can skip down. All right, this command here is the next one we have to do. And this is making it automatically launch when the Raspberry Pi reboots. This is bringing up basically a text editor, and we're just going to paste in some easy text. I'm going to make a new text file just because it's easier to type in a text file than it is to edit in this command line like Lotus 123 from 1984. All right, so we got this template file right here. Copy and paste all of this into your text file. And all we have to do is change where it says Pi to whatever username you created when you set up your account. So you got to do it there where it says user, change it here where it says the working directory name, and then change it one more time in the middle here of the exec start directory. Now just select all of this. You don't have to save it or anything. We're not doing anything else with it. Copy it. Paste it into there. Now we need to save it. And you do a Control O. It's a little stretch with my hand here. It's asking you to save it. Just hit Enter. It's got the right name in it already. And then Control X to go back to your command line. Okay, that's done. So now it's all customized to work on your machine. And now we're going to set up a service so everything can work in the background. 2 more lines to copy and paste. That's 1, that's 2. Okay. We don't need to verify, it works. Now we're just going to do a clean reboot with this command here. Reboot only takes about a minute on my Pi. It'll depend a little bit on the speed of your card. So, all right, once a minute or so goes by, and that'll give the machine ample time to reboot, we can just close this. We're done with that. We can close that. Done with that. Nope, don't save. All right, so we're actually done with the install instructions. Now we can actually bring the program up in any browser. It doesn't matter if it's your phone, your tablet, your desktop, your laptop, whatever. Go to the IP address of your Pi, whatever you set it to, with a :8080 at the end of it. So just like that. Mine's 192.168.86.201 :8080. And it comes up. Now if you're on a phone or tablet, you can actually put the bookmark as a shortcut on your home screen. So you can launch it just like an app, and it'll just bring up your browser right to the page. So no app necessary. This is it. All you do to use it is choose your movie. You can see all the info about whatever it is. Click upload to whatever slot you want to put it in. You choose your slot here on the right. 1, 2, 3. I just happen to use 4. I don't use more than one slot. This is all I use the Pi box for, and all I use the minidsp box for is just loading in a movie. When you're done with it, you just click the X to blank it back out. That's it. So the update instructions, if you ever want to install a new version of this, production versions don't come out that often, and the regular one that's up right now works great. They're in the link down below, and it's basically just copying and pasting file lines. You don't have to customize anything. You just copy and paste. That's it. Hope it helps.